It's the D-Day of the planned nationwide protest in Nigeria tagged End Bad Governance. Protests are already underway in Lagos, Abuja, Bayelsa and other parts of the country. Joining us now for analysis on the nationwide protest is Professor Agbo Madaki, former Dean of Faculty of Law, Bayes University. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, hello, Prof. You are a professor of international humanitarian law. One of the issues in contemporary writings on the subject is that the scope of conflict has expanded. And today, in Nigeria, we're dealing with conflict. How do you think that the Nigerian government should respect the fundamental human rights of protesters? Because just a few minutes ago, we heard that in some parts of Abuja, tear gas is now being used, shots are being fired. Let's deal with that, the main subject of the day first.
Yeah, thank you very much. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria operates a constitutional democracy, and then the constitution is the grand norm, that binds the people, the government, and dictates how we relate with ourselves. And as Justice Oputa put it, it's one of the yardstick or indices to indicate as to how democratic a government is their willingness to obey civil liberties and basic fundamental freedoms. And the truth of the matter is that anybody assuming executive position in the country, be it to the office of the president or governor and many other offices, you subscribe to the oath of allegiance and oath of office, which basically you are saying you will obey and also implement the Constitution. So the truth of the matter, it behoves on every citizen, whether you are the president or not, but to respect, to promote, and to protect the basic fundamental freedoms of not just Nigerians, but of all persons that are resident within Nigeria. And that's why a lot of the constitutional provision relating to fundamental human rights always start by saying everybody, everybody, everybody. It's just in few exceptions that you have right in only to citizens. So it is the duty of government not only to just respect, but also to protect. And if that be the case, I agree and I concede that it is the rights of citizens, to express their views on burning national issues. It is the right of citizens to freely associate with one another, to impart and to receive knowledge as the case may be. And even in some constitutions of other countries of the world, especially in Kenya, the right to protest is constitutionally guaranteed. But however, all constitutional documents all over the world also makes provision that fundamental human rights must also be enjoyed and promoted within the ambits of the law. So having said that, the duties of government is clearly spelled out in the Constitution as the case may be, especially the executive powers of the president, of the country, which is vested in the office of the president at the national level, and then in the person of the governor at the state level. And then he does this by delegating power to people who he appoints, as the case may be. So talking about today's protest, if you say that you've had few instances that tear gas have been fired, and I am not in a position to either deny or to confirm that. But what I do know is that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria creates and establishes the Nigerian police exclusively to the federal government. And then the duties of the Nigerian police is clearly spelled out under the Police Act, especially in Section 4 of the Police Act. So in the event or case of Nigeria ventilating their grievances by way of public protest, it is my advice that they should stick and do within the ambit of the rule of law. Do only what the law expects you to do. If, however, the protesters go outside the rule of law, there are duties incumbent of the Nigerian police, first and foremost, to enforce all laws and regulations in existence in Nigeria, to protect lives and property, to ensure that Nigerians have easy access to the highway, roads and streets as the case may be.
Yes.
And the operation manual of the police and even the armed forces, there are certain circumstances that force may be used either in suppressing a riot or violence or bringing people perpetrating crimes to order, as the case may be. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you very much for breaking that down, because we also hear, based on the process, that some states have obtained an ex parte orders restricting protests to certain venues. I'd like you to speak on that, even though many of the people we've spoken to this morning, especially the protesters, have said they haven't been served yet. What is the implication of that, especially in cases like in Abuja and Lagos, where we hear that they haven't been served yet? We also hear that Kwara has been added to that list only this morning. Please, your take on this. Is that an infringement on the freedom of assembly in terms of the procession or choosing to assemble in different areas aside from the allocated or prescribed areas?
Let me point out very quickly, because to the glory of God, I'm not just a professor of law, but in the last 40 years, I've also been fairly active in legal practice, maintaining my own law firm. The truth of the matter is that the National Judicial Council frowns on the abuse or the easy deployment of ex parte proceeding in order to seek relief from the court. Basically, on the face value, an ex parte proceeding may be a variation from the principles of fair hearing, because it's a cardinal principles of law, natural justice, that audi autere patent, that is, hear both sides. But sometimes in extreme cases of urgency, either in order to preserve or to protect or preserve the right, as the case may be, parties may quickly rush to court by way of an ex parte application. But judges are advised to sparingly issue ex parte application, that it is better to hear both sides. But however, when the urgency is real and the danger is dire, in order to preserve and to protect, a judge may give an ex parte application, as the case may be. Now, why will either some states go to court to ask that the protest be restricted to certain areas? The truth of the matter is that the president is the overall chief security officer of the federations, and governors are the chief security officers of their states. And it is provided in the Nigerian constitution, especially under section 14, of chapter 2 of the constitution, that it is the primary duty and responsibility of government to protect lives and property, and all the security apparatus in the country, submit what they call security reports, either to the governor or to the president. So if from security report available to them, it is reasonably suspected that allowing the protest to go to A, B, C, D could lead them to a breakdown of law and order, something may be done about it. But let me point out very quickly that there's hardly any... Can I just say something very quickly? Very quickly, which is very germane to the questions.
Yes.
And I will be very brief. I need to mention that there's actually not even a single fundamental human right that is absolute. And that is why, under the Nigerian Constitution, section 45, it deals with what we call permissible derogations from human rights. That is, there are certain circumstances that some human rights may be derogated from. And it's not only in Nigeria. Even under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, out of which we now have what they call the Syracuse Principles on derogation from the provisions of that covenant. So there are certain circumstances, and those circumstances, even though it is furtherance of democracy, but in order to protect public order, public health, safety, national security, there are certain instances that fundamental rights may be derogated from under international law and even under the Nigerian Constitution as encapsulated under section 45 of the Nigerian Constitution. That is, there are certain times basic fundamental human rights may be derogated from.
Prof, you cannot be more correct. No rights are absolute. People have rights, but there's nothing such as absolute rights. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the morning show.